This is the place. The elderly woman furrowed her brows and was about to step into the valley when, suddenly, 9 sword energies shot out from within, crashing toward her, blocking her from entering even a single step. Her expression remained unchanged, but a complex look flashed in her eyes. Staring at the flying swords, she sighed inwardly and waved the jade slip in her right hand forward. The jade slip immediately collided with the 9 sword energies. The jade slip emitted a glowing light, releasing a gentle aura that surrounded the 9 sword energies. The energies trembled and then abandoned all resistance, dissipating into the air. With the sword energies cleared, the elderly woman took a step forward and immediately saw the statue of Wang Lin at the center of the valley. She also noticed the jade pendant hanging from its neck. Looking at the statue of Wang Lin, the elderly woman's eyes grew complicated, and after a long while, she let out a heavy sigh. "Li Qianmei, you sacrificed so much, all for this person?" she muttered softly. "Forget it. I promised you that I would deliver the soul blood, and now I fulfilled my promise to you." With a flick of her sleeve, a storage rift appeared before her. A blood-colored, fluff-like sphere about the size of a fist shot out from it. This fluff-like blood sphere was not real blood but rather a condensed soul, and upon appearing, it immediately flew toward the statue of Wang Lin under the elderly woman's command, merging with it. At the moment the soul blood merged, the statue of Wang Lin trembled violently. Blood light surged from it, but there was no evil aura. Instead, it radiated vitality, tenderness, and the years of companionship. As the statue shook, it seemed as though a powerful force was about to erupt from within. With crackling sounds, numerous cracks appeared in the eyes of the statue, and for the first time in 10 years, Wang Lin, in his stone form, opened his eyes. As his eyes opened, all the stone layers on his face began to crumble, slowly spreading outward. It seemed as though they were about to shatter completely, though it would take some time. His eyes filled with confusion, and Wang Lin seemed to be dreaming. In that dream, he entered an extraordinary realm, the Tao realm. You're awake." A cold voice interrupted Wang Lin's confusion. His eyes suddenly sharpened, and he quickly saw the elderly woman standing far away in white robes. "You are." Wang Lin's gaze was calm as it landed on the elderly woman. With a single glance, he clearly saw a primordial spirit moving within her body. That primordial spirit flashed with various divine arts, and under his gaze, the divine arts instantly stopped shifting, as if he could see through the very essence of those arts with a single thought. As his gaze shifted, he also noticed a seal near her right heart, which was a healing seal that had been in place for no less than 1,000 years. Under his gaze, the elderly woman's face suddenly changed, and she instinctively took a few steps back. Sweat beads appeared on her forehead as she realized that, in that brief moment, it felt as though he had seen through her body and frozen her primordial spirit. All of her secrets, including the divine arts she had concealed, were fully exposed in his eyes. She even had a terrifying sensation, as if, with a thought, he could erase all her divine arts from her memory. What terrified her even more was that the healing seal from 1,000 years ago, which had been left on her by the Grand Elder of the Demon Sect after a deadly battle, was now on the verge of collapse under his gaze. The injuries that had nearly healed were suddenly being reversed, bringing back the grievous wounds from 1,000 years ago. "I come from the 9th-ranked Demon Sect to deliver Li Qianmei's soul blood and awaken you. What do you intend to do? Are you planning to kill me?" Despite her shock, the elderly woman's character remained harsh. She retreated several steps, glared at Wang Lin, and shouted coldly, "Li Qianmei." Wang Lin was taken aback. Seeing Wang Lin's expression, the elderly woman seemed to suppress her shock, a trace of sadness appearing on her face as she let out a long laugh. "Li Qianmei. Oh, Li Qianmei. You did all this, and it turns out this person has no clue. Forget it. I've delivered the soul blood and repaid my debt. From here on, we owe each other nothing." With that, she spun around, ready to leave. "Friend, please don't leave yet." A faint guess appeared in Wang Lin's heart, and he immediately spoke up. As his voice echoed, the world seemed to shift, and the elderly woman's body trembled as she found herself unable to leave. She turned and glared at Wang Lin, her voice dark with suspicion. "You may be strong enough to kill me easily, But now you stop me from leaving. What is your intention? I've been unconscious for so long and known nothing of the events that have transpired. I ask you to tell me everything. Wang Lin said slowly, still observing the elderly woman. The elderly woman sneered, and after a long pause, said, You want to know? Fine, I'll tell you everything. Do you recognize a woman named Li Qianmei? You don't even need to speak. I know you must know her. I don't know how you two got acquainted, but do you know that 10 years ago, Li Qianmei gave up the great opportunity of becoming a disciple of the demon sect, abandoned the demon sect's favor, and became the first person to leave the battlefield midway? The reason, it is said, was to meet someone in the Wuji sect. The demon sect was naturally unwilling, and even the Breaking Sky sect had some grievances. Once this precedent was set, others would no longer comply. What she lost is of no concern to you, and it doesn't matter whether you know or not. Wang Lin was stunned. He really didn't know any of this. He saw Li Qianmei in the Wuji sect, but she never mentioned any of this. Do you know, 10 years ago, Li Qianmei left the Wuji sect under the order of her master to return to her sect? You know that. But did you know that once she returned to her sect, she was immediately confined by her master to prevent her from leaving, to keep her there for 3 months? Why confine her for 3 months? Because at that time, someone was facing a life or death crisis. I don't know much, but you must understand. Wang Lin's mind shook. He naturally knew, but the matter of Li Qianmei at the Breaking Sky sect was news to him. Do you know that Li Qianmei, in order to save you, severed ties with her master, who was like a father to her, and traded her life to gain the chance to leave, becoming a person without a sect from then on? Do you know that Li Qianmei, to awaken you, has been coating your body with fresh blood every day for the past 10 years? And when the fresh blood was exhausted, she even used her essence blood, and when that wasn't enough, she replaced it with her divine sense. Do you know how painful all this was? 10 years of this, without interruption. Do you know that for 10 years, she never left this valley, except for the last few months? She stayed by your side every day. Do you know that in these 10 years, she not only used her blood, but also her life force, her everything? She consumed her vitality, mixed it into the blood, and sent it to you, becoming extremely weak. Do you know that, in the end, when her divine sense could no longer replace it, she went to the demon sect? At what cost did she retrieve the soul blood and have me deliver it to you? Do you know that even when she left the life soul jade pendant with you to nourish your body? You didn't know any of this? You didn't know? The old woman's expression was filled with sorrow and anger as she glared at Wang Lin and spoke these words. These words thundered in Wang Lin's ears, making his body tremble violently. He understood now. He understood the blood light that had never stopped in the inverse heaven realm, the one that carried a gentle warmth, which had been nourishing his soul even in the Tao realm. He finally understood what it was. Looking down, he saw the jade pendant around his neck. Its glow was dimming, as if it would dissipate at any moment, and to his surprise, a fine crack appeared on the jade pendant when he looked at it. Do you know where she is now? The old woman laughed bitterly, her voice filled with sadness. You don't know, do you? You don't know what conditions Li Qianmei agreed to with the demon sect to retrieve the soul blood. How could you know all this? If I hadn't watched her grow up, if I hadn't been her senior sister, I wouldn't know either. Where is she? Wang Lin muttered softly. Where is she? The demon sect's soul blood is not something you can just take. 10 years ago, she left the battlefield and never returned. She was even expelled from the Breaking Sky sect. The demon sect wouldn't let her go without punishment. If she wanted to retrieve the soul blood, she had to pay the price. To obtain the soul blood, she agreed to go to the deepest part of the Rift battlefield to investigate if there was a passage in that world full of fierce beasts that connected to the outer realms. If there is a passage to the outer realms, how could she possibly return safely? Even if there is no such passage, the fierce beasts in the depths of that rift are extremely powerful, and she would surely die. Moreover, she has already lost her vitality, her cultivation is severely depleted, and she has drained her life force. How could she possibly survive? The demon sect wants her to die on the battlefield, as a warning to others. She went to the deepest part of the Rift battlefield to retrieve the soul blood. The people of the demon sect won't let her return. Even the soul blood, she could only have me bring it to you. Now you know everything. She didn't want me to tell you, but since you asked, why shouldn't I tell you? Why shouldn't I let you know all of this? The old woman sneered, her words piercing Wang Lin's heart like daggers. Wang Lin trembled. His body, which had already required time to fully shatter, cracked violently the moment he heard all this. With a rumble, it all collapsed. The stone skin that had been connected to Wang Lin's flesh immediately shattered, turning him into a blood-covered person. But how could he care about that now? The stone statue he transformed into was connected to the primordial continent. At the moment of its collapse, the entire continent trembled violently, and in an instant, it shattered into pieces. The booming sound echoed through the heavens, shaking the land to its core. Deep fissures appeared as the continent fractured, splitting the once unified land into chaos. At the instant the continent began to crumble, Wang Lin burst forth. A powerful aura of cultivation erupted from him, so overwhelming it could shake the very heavens. The strength of his cultivation was enough to move the earth. Once he emerged, Wang Lin looked up at the starry sky. With a single step forward, his right hand reached into the void and immediately grasped the elderly woman floating there. Lead the way. I'm heading to the demon's sect battlefield. Wang Lin's voice was calm, yet it carried an undeniable authority that left no room for rejection. Even a cultivator at the perfect shattered nirvana stage would not dare to refuse. You? The elderly woman trembled under the force of Wang Lin's aura, her divine sense shaking. She couldn't even conjure a divine art to evade his grasp. Within moments, she was trapped by his hand. I'm going to save her. I'm going to save her. It was a declaration, a determination, a firm resolve that feared no death, an unyielding will. The words of the white-clad elder rang in Wang Lin's mind, each one like thunder, like tears, like blood. They left an indelible mark on his soul, a mark stained red, not with malice, but with sorrow and warmth. It felt as though millions of thunderbolts exploded in Wang Lin's ears, the deafening noise freezing him in place. A sharp pain surged from his heart, flowing through his blood, and even his very soul seemed to ache. You promised to bring me. Li Qianmei's words before their last parting echoed in his ears, faint and distant. Her request had never been grand. She simply wanted a farewell, a smile of parting, a blessing, and a promise that he would never forget her. She never sought to rival Li Muan for a place in Wang Lin's heart, nor did she hope to replace her. All she ever gave was her silent devotion, fulfilling a dream that seemed to belong to a past life. That was all. A woman like this, Li Qianmei, gave everything in her own way. Perhaps she did not have the hundreds of years of waiting and loneliness like Li Muan, nor did she tear open Wang Lin's heart like willow eyebrows. But she gave him 10 years that left him with guilt he could never repay, 10 years that left a pain in his heart. If one day, I am no longer here, will you remember there was once a woman named Li Qianmei who passed swiftly through your life? Her words, spoken in the Wuji sect, now seemed eternal, spreading through Wang Lin's heart. If one day, I never return, I hope you can remember. Even if she was gone, Li Qianmei did not wish for Wang Lin to ever know the full extent of her sacrifices. She had never wanted him to feel guilty or pity her, or accept her presence out of sympathy. If not for the white-clad elder's words, demanding that if she were to send soul blood, Wang Lin must know everything, Li Qianmei would have kept it all hidden. If not for the elder's detailed questioning and the sight of Li Qianmei's weary face, Wang Lin would never have known. Li Qianmei didn't want Wang Lin to feel guilty for everything she had done for him. She didn't want him to accept her out of pity. She didn't want to be remembered in such a way. She didn't expect to share eternity with him, nor did she wish for an immortal bond. What she wanted was for Wang Lin to remember that in this vast world, under the infinite stars, there once was a woman named Li Qianmei. Whether she was alive or dead, that was enough. What she wanted was simply that one thought, that two people, separated by life and death, and an insurmountable distance, could still look up at the same starry sky, sharing the same view. That was enough for her. She didn't need to be remembered in the martial world. What she saw was that after they passed each other by, in the depths of time and memory, his figure would still be clear in her mind. When old age came, and when death arrived, she hoped she could smile peacefully, knowing that her memory would warm her, preventing her from feeling cold or lonely. Her request was simple. Wang Lin lifted his head, gazing at the pitch-black starry sky. His heart throbbed with pain and the resolve to save Li Qianmei. This woman who had given him 10 years burned fiercely within him. Even though the rift battlefield might be connected to the outer realm and Tua Sun awaited there, stepping into the outer realm could alert Tua Sun, bringing great danger. Even now, what Wang Lin needed most was time. Time to meditate, to improve his understanding of the Tao, to reach the third step, a step as difficult to attain as ascending to the heavens. However, all of this had already been cast aside by Wang Lin. He no longer wished to think about it, to ponder it. He only knew that a woman named Li Qianmei was now facing life or death. If he didn't save her, he would never find peace in his life, never be happy, because he owed her a debt that could never be repaid. 10 years of his life. Those simple 4 words contained everything. With one step forward, a loud rumbling echoed through the starry sky. Wang Lin's entire being resembled a burning meteor, howling as he rushed forward. The white-haired old woman was held in the void, and the two of them sped toward the starry sky, disappearing without a trace in an instant. The old woman stared blankly at Wang Lin, shocked by the deafening speed that nearly tore apart the starry sky. It was as if a giant sword was splitting the heavens as Wang Lin advanced. This speed astonished her. She could also feel, from the speed, Wang Lin's current determination. It was an aura of one who would charge forward even if the whole world stood in his way. Below the third step star domain, there are no teleportation arrays. The fourth step Sea Soul sect has a formation that leads to the sixth step star domain. The closest teleportation array to the sixth step star domain is at the Celestial Melody sect of the Wuji sect, which can directly take us to the eighth step star domain of Wuji sect. Wuji sect also has teleportation arrays that can send us to the ninth step star domain at the fastest speed. Once we reach the ninth step star domain, I will tell you where the demon sect is located. This is the fastest way. However, opening the teleportation array requires too many primordial crystals, and I don't have enough. Besides, each sect's teleportation array is rarely opened. They won't easily let us use it. The old woman's words didn't get any response from Wang Lin. After he spoke those 4 words, he fell silent, and his silence created a heavy, oppressive atmosphere, causing the old woman to feel a little uneasy. She even began to regret telling him everything. She had a vague feeling that after hearing her words and speaking those 4 words, Wang Lin seemed to have transformed from an immortal into a demon. The thunderous sound in the starry sky raged on as Wang Lin's speed increased. His white hair fluttered, his face turned ashen, and he exuded a mad aura. No obstacle ahead could make him retreat. The second step star domain was vast, but at Wang Lin's speed, it seemed as though the entire starry mist of the second step star domain was being sucked in. Even the fierce beasts hidden within immediately avoided him. They could clearly feel that a killing god was charging toward them. If they stood in his way, they would die without a doubt. As Wang Lin advanced, the second step star domain trembled. After his figure flashed by, a huge crack appeared, nearly splitting the second step star domain in 2. At this speed, Wang Lin broke through the second step star domain, then the third step star domain, and finally arrived on the continent where the Sea Soul sect of the fourth step star domain was located. The Sea Soul sect was part of the eighth step star domain's Silent Soul Path subsect. Since Silent Soul Path was the strongest in the eighth step star domain, the Sea Soul sect was domineering in the fourth step star domain, and few dared provoke them. Their sect leader had reached the perfect shattered nirvana stage, a level that allowed him to dominate in the fourth step star domain. Now, it was nighttime on the Sea Soul sect's continent. Most of the sect's cultivators were meditating. Even the sect leader was seated in a secret chamber. But suddenly, a violent rumble shook the earth, and the entire continent erupted with a deafening roar as if it had been struck by a tremendous force. The tremor wasn't large, but it was enough to awaken all the cultivators. The Sea Soul sect's sect leader quickly opened his eyes, a look of shock appearing in his gaze. He staggered and rushed out of the secret chamber, followed closely by the sect's elders. As they emerged, they immediately saw the protective formation of the continent glowing brightly. In shock, They watched as the formation shattered with a loud bang, as if a pair of giant hands had torn it apart. Amid the collapse, someone entered the continent. Before they could speak, a cold and detached voice, as chilling as the ancient winds, reverberated across the heavens and earth, shaking the very foundation of the world. Open the teleportation array and bring all the primordial crystals, or die. The voice belonged to a white-haired youth. His face was dark, and after he appeared, he only said one sentence. Yet the meaning behind those words made every Sea Soul sect member's heart tremble in fear. The Sea Soul sect leader shuddered. He couldn't gauge the youth's cultivation level, but he could instantly tell that the power to tear open the protective formation was no ordinary skill. Hearing those words, he quickly clasped his hands in respect and was about to speak, but when their gazes met, his mind exploded and blood spurted from his mouth. His face turned pale. Wang Lin didn't strike. It was merely that the Sea Soul sect leader was too weak. As soon as their gazes met, his unstable mind caused self-inflicted harm. This had nothing to do with Wang Lin. Understood. The Sea Soul sect leader immediately bowed in respect, turning without hesitation to lead the panicked elders in opening the teleportation array. He then took out all the primordial crystals and humbly offered them. He had no doubt that if he was even a moment late or showed any hesitation, the youth would certainly kill him. To him, the person in front seemed less like a cultivator and more like an ancient fierce beast, filled with overwhelming killing intent, descending upon the world. The formation needed some time to activate. At that moment, within the Sea Soul sect, as the elders seated themselves, the formation was fully triggered, working at full speed to hasten the process. The reason for their urgency was the terrifying killing god, whose cold gaze was fixed on the sky. Wang Lin didn't have time to wait. Even if the sect master of the Sea Soul sect personally intervened, it would take at least half an hour for the teleportation array to open. He couldn't afford to wait. As the formation slowly activated, Wang Lin took a step forward. Raising his right hand, he slammed it down towards the ground. Suddenly, the world rumbled, as the primordial energy of the entire starry sky surged and gathered at this moment. It rushed into the teleportation array, as if attempting to burst it apart. With this reckless method of damaging the array, the teleportation formation trembled violently and then exploded open in an instant. Wang Lin stepped in, and the white-haired old woman followed closely behind. After retrieving the primordial crystals prepared by the Sea Soul sect, Wang Lin and the white-haired old woman disappeared into the formation. At the moment they vanished, the teleportation array emitted an unbearable cracking sound, as several fissures appeared on it before it completely collapsed. I'm in a hurry to leave, so I destroyed your array and took your primordial crystals. I'll compensate you tenfold in the future. Wang Lin's voice echoed from the void, reaching the ears of the Sea Soul sect disciples. I don't believe what you say. That Lu Zihao, with his profound cultivation, killed our former sect master, elders, and senior brother. A person like him would surely be fully protected by the Wuji sect. How could he have possibly died, as you say? The woman spoke, her voice filled with disbelief. Sister, I'm telling the truth. It's said that Lu Zihao offended the divine sect, and 10 years ago, he was hunted down by them and died in the 5th-rank star domain. The man chuckled. Lu Zihao was once a genius of the Sea of Clouds, but it's a pity. He was too arrogant and provoked the divine sect. The man continued, but just then, the teleportation array they were guarding suddenly burst into dazzling light. The man paused, looking up in surprise. I wonder which lower-rank star domain has activated the array this time. His expression was arrogant. As a disciple of the Celestial Melody sect, he was tasked with guarding the teleportation array. In the past, whenever someone from a lower-rank star domain arrived, they would offer some crystals to the guards as part of the Sea of Clouds customs. But just then, the light from the array flared up violently, reaching its peak in an instant. The sky and earth rumbled, and the winds changed. Infinite primordial energy surged into the array, causing it to emit cracking sounds and form fissures. This sudden event immediately caused the faces of the more than 10 cultivators guarding the array to change drastically. One by one, they quickly stood up. How bold! They dared to forcibly accelerate the process. If this teleportation array is destroyed, no sect in the lower domains will be able to bear the responsibility. I must see which sect is so audacious. The man who had spoken earlier darkened his expression, snapping his hand at his storage pouch. A flying sword immediately shot out. With a flick of his finger, the sword whizzed towards the teleportation array. But just as the flying sword approached, a thunderous roar exploded from within the array. In the midst of the roar, the array immediately shattered. Blinding light erupted, and two figures shot out from within, heading straight into the starry sky. The man who had launched the flying sword was about to speak, but immediately shut his mouth. He caught a glimpse of the face of one of the figures as they shot out from the array. A single glance made his expression change drastically. Lu Zihao. The man was one of the ones who had gone to the Wuji sect years ago. He had witnessed Wang Lin's unparalleled battles, and had seen the deaths of the sect master and grand elders with his own eyes. Wang Lin paid no attention to the younger cultivators. As soon as he burst out of the array, he sped towards the distance, creating a thunderous sound as he vanished into the starry sky in an instant. The closest place is the Celestial Melody sect. From there, you can teleport to the Wuji sect. The white-haired old woman's face turned pale as she looked at Wang Lin, her eyes filled with fear. This man has gone mad. He's gone insane. To speed up the teleportation, he didn't even want to wait half a moment. Instead, he chose the dangerous method of gathering the primordial energy during the teleportation process, causing the array to complete the transfer in an instant. Only a madman would do this. A slight mistake, and he would be torn apart by the spatial rifts. The white-haired old woman recalled the terrifying scenes during the teleportation, her heart still trembling. Wang Lin's face was grim as he stepped forward, shattering the starry sky beneath his feet. Amidst the thunderous sounds, he followed the direction pointed by the old woman, heading straight for the Celestial Melody sect. He unleashed his full speed, streaking through the 6th-rank star domain like a thunderbolt. Not long after, the 3 continents of the Celestial Melody sect appeared in his sight. The Celestial Melody sect is, after all, a sect of the 6th-rank star domain, with 3 continents under its control and a powerful protective formation shrouding it. It is nearly impossible for ordinary people to break through, and even cultivators at the Shattered Nirvana stage would find it difficult to breach in a short time. It would take some time before this formation collapses. However, if a Shattered Nirvana cultivator from the Celestial Melody sect were to reinforce the formation, its strength would increase even further. Wang Lin strode through the starry sky. His speed was so fast that it created a thunderous roar, accompanied by a wild and frenzied aura. The Celestial Melody sect immediately noticed his presence, and its disciples quickly flew out. The new sect master and the elders, who had been in seclusion, also took to the air. In the sky, their expressions darkened as they gazed outward. Upon seeing Wang Lin, their faces instantly changed in shock. Lu Zihao. It's Lu Zihao, the one who killed the previous sect master and the grand elder. Didn't he get slain by the divine sect? How is he still alive? 10 years ago, the divine sect supposedly killed him in the 5th-rank star domain. But now, not only is he alive, his cultivation is even stronger. Could it be that even the divine sect couldn't kill him? When Wang Lin appeared, all the cultivators who had witnessed him firsthand at the Wuji sect were immediately stunned. Their hearts trembled with shock and fear. The image of Wang Lin had been deeply imprinted in their minds from that time. Without stopping, Wang Lin took another step forward, arriving outside the teleportation array that connected the 3 continents of the Celestial Melody sect. His gaze was cold, and he didn't even spare a glance at the startled cultivators within the formation. Raising his right hand, he pressed it down forcefully. As soon as his palm made contact with the formation, an overwhelming aura erupted from his body. Break! The roar echoed across the heavens, shaking the 3 continents. The teleportation array flickered violently, releasing a blinding light, accompanied by cracking sounds. 5 fissures appeared instantly at the 5 points marked by Wang Lin's fingers on the array. These 5 cracks spread like 5 ferocious dragons, their malevolent energy swiftly engulfing the entire formation. With a deafening crash, the once impenetrable formation, which even Shattered Nirvana cultivators would need time to break, shattered and collapsed under the eyes of all the Celestial Melody sect disciples. An unimaginable shockwave radiated from the collapsing array. The array, like a shattered mirror, broke into countless fragments, and the shockwave swept outward like a violent storm, forcing all the Celestial Melody sect cultivators in the sky to retreat in haste to avoid the danger of being struck by the flying debris. One person, one palm, one step, the world shook. Activate the teleportation array to the Wuji sect and use all the primordial crystals. Wang Lin's cold gaze swept over the cultivators in front of him. No hesitation. His words carried an undeniable authority, filling the Celestial Melody sect with an oppressive aura that left every cultivator trembling, unable to utter even a single no. The new sect master, sweat dripping from his forehead, looked at Wang Lin with a mixture of fear and reverence. He had witnessed Wang Lin's power at the Wuji sect in the past, even seeing the previous sect master die before his very eyes. This man could instantly kill the former sect master and 3 elders back then. 10 years ago, even the divine sect couldn't kill him. Now, after 10 years, he has returned stronger than ever. Such a figure must not be provoked. Without hesitation, the sect master issued a series of commands to open the teleportation array to the Wuji sect. The 2 teleportation arrays Wang Lin chose for this trip had their reasons. The Sea Soul sect's array allowed for bidirectional travel, meaning no one else needed to activate it. One could teleport directly from the Sea Soul sect. The Celestial Melody sect, being a 6th-rank sect, could activate the array on their own without needing the Wuji sect's permission. They had the right to open it themselves in case of any unforeseen circumstances. Of course, there were limits to this activation. Only 3 people could be sent at a time, and anyone arriving would be thoroughly scrutinized. If there were no important matters, severe punishment would be meted out. Wang Lin's reputation from 10 years ago had caused quite a stir in the sea of clouds. For cultivators, 10 years was a short time, like yesterday. Now, with his return, the Celestial Melody sect was in turmoil. The sect was even more familiar with him, especially since the former sect master, the elders, and disciples had all perished at his hands. At this moment, the entire Celestial Melody sect mobilized to open the formation. The new sect master was internally desperate. He only hoped to send this calamity away as soon as possible and avoid offending Wang Lin. After all, he had killed the sect master of the Celestial Melody sect back then. There was no telling what he might do now. Wang Lin took the entire storage bag filled with all the primordial crystals from the Celestial Melody sect and stepped into the formation with the white-haired elderly woman. The elderly woman was shocked by everything she saw. Having spent many years on the demon sect battlefield, she was unaware of the events from 10 years ago. Now, seeing everything before her, she could hardly believe her eyes. She could tell that the elders and sect leader of the Celestial Melody sect were looking at Wang Lin with unimaginable terror and fear. They seemed as if they were trying to send him away as quickly as possible, almost as though offering him as a divine envoy. She had previously worried about the primordial crystals, but upon seeing the storage bag Wang Lin had taken, she bitterly smiled. The Celestial Melody sect's willingness to hand over the primordial crystals seemed as if Wang Lin were the sect leader of the Celestial Melody sect himself, able to order them to gather the crystals at lightning speed with just a single word. If even the Wuji sect came to demand primordial crystals, the Celestial Melody sect would never comply this quickly. They would likely hide some and not give them all. She thought. Wang Lin stepped into the teleportation array, and with the elderly woman in white, their figures vanished. This teleportation array, directly leading to the 8th-rank star domain, did not require any waiting. Within the blink of an eye, they were already en route to the Wuji sect. Only after seeing Wang Lin leave did the people of the Celestial Melody sect finally relax. The sect leader's face eased a little as he gazed at the empty teleportation array and the collapsed protective formation, feeling a lingering fear in his heart. Finally, he's gone. I would have given him not only the primordial crystals, but the entire Celestial Melody sect, if he had asked. I just hope he leaves quickly. The sect leader thought, still shaken. In the 8th-rank star domain, within a cultivation star of the Wuji sect, the light of the formation flared up, enveloping the heavens and earth. The radiance was blinding, quickly becoming more intense. Here, in the Wuji sect, I still need to obtain one more treasure. Wang Lin's figure emerged from the formation and arrived at the Wuji sect, the very place he had visited 10 years ago. Upon the formation's activation, disciples within the Wuji sect immediately noticed, and those closest to the area flew up and rushed towards it. But before they could approach, Wang Lin, moving with the speed of lightning, swept past them in an instant. The storm of wind generated by his movement forced the approaching disciples to retreat, their faces filled with astonishment. Wang Lin's speed had reached its limits. With a single teleport, he appeared in midair above the Wuji sect's mountain gate. Before him stood the towering peak. This is it, Wang Lin thought. What he wanted was the ancient divine sword that had transformed into the mountain peak, a powerful artifact he suspected to be the 9-star ancient god's weapon. Only by obtaining this artifact could he hope to save Li Qianmei on that dangerous battlefield. There was no time for hesitation. Wang Lin knew one thing. He must obtain the ancient god artifact, and he must do it quickly. As he approached the mountain peak, Wang Lin cupped his hands toward the heavens and earth. Brother Lu borrows this mountain for use. I swear to return it in the future and will pay any price. I hope the friends of the Wuji sect can lend me a hand this time. Wang Lin spoke, then stepped forward, suddenly landing on the peak. Without hesitation, the moment his feet touched the peak, the ancient god power in his body surged. In an instant, the mountain seemed to awaken once again, and an ancient aura erupted from within it. This aura was so powerful that it shook the heavens. Within it, there was an immense force of ancient god power, which stirred and caused the sky above the peak to form a massive vortex, rapidly spinning. In the blink of an eye, the ancient god power within the mountain surged wildly. The entire peak trembled, and even the earth beneath it quaked. Waves of increasingly powerful ancient god power rushed up from the mountain, charging into Wang Lin's body through his feet. At this very moment, an ancient god star mark appeared on Wang Lin's forehead. Though his ancient god star had shattered in the past, the ancient god power within it had not been released. Instead, it had returned to his stone-like body during his death, becoming a chaotic force that spread throughout his being. Now, as the ancient god aura from the mountain surged through him, a second ancient god star mark suddenly appeared on his forehead. With this ancient power flooding into Wang Lin's body, his entire being emitted powerful cracking sounds. The mountain trembled more violently, and the primordial energy of heaven and earth erupted in chaos. The skies and earth changed color, and the winds and clouds twisted in reverse. It was as though an ancient god was awakening from the mountain, struggling to open its eyes and roar in fury, desperate to break free. At this moment, cracks began to appear across the mountain, and with each explosion, the peak seemed to split, stones flying, dust rising, and the earth itself shaking in an earth-shattering display. All of this occurred in the blink of an eye. As Wang Lin absorbed the ancient god power from the peak, 6 incredibly powerful auras charged towards him from all directions. Among them, 2 came directly from the Wuji sect's main hall, crashing toward the mountain with terrifying force. These 6 auras, each one belonging to an immensely powerful cultivator who has reached the first decay of heaven and man. LV Zaheo, it's actually you. What do you want? A roar echoed through the heavens and earth, coming from one of the 2 auras that rushed out of the mountain peak. This person, with white hair and wearing a black robe, immediately shouted in a low voice upon seeing Wang Lin. His eyes showed a murderous intent upon noticing Wang Lin's movements. Wang Lin had never seen this elder before, but from his cultivation level, it was clear that he was one of the grand elders of the Wuji sect. A flash of murderous intent appeared in the elder's eyes. He took a step forward, raising his right hand. Suddenly, the thunder of heaven and earth roared, and boundless thunder began to manifest in the sky. With the elder's palm, the thunder was absorbed, condensed violently, and transformed into 19 thunderballs that came crashing toward Wang Lin. There was another person beside the elder, with a grim expression on his face. It was none other than the sect master of the Wuji sect. As the 19 thunderballs roared closer, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head. At this moment, he was rapidly absorbing the ancient god power from the mountain. The 3rd ancient god star mark on his forehead suddenly manifested. Thunder. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with an extraordinary glow. The moment the word left his lips, the thunderballs that had collided with the giant wave suddenly halted, trembling violently in midair. In an instant, they reversed course and sped toward the black-robed elder instead, as if Wang Lin were their true master, the ruler of the heavenly thunder. The black-robed elder's expression changed. He waved his sleeve and immediately collided with those thunderballs. A deafening explosion shook the heavens and earth, stunning everything. LV, our Wuji sect has treated you well. In the past, you asked for supreme Ein, and I gave it to you. You killed members of the Celestial Melody sect, and I let it go. I even allowed the Origin Reunion sect to become a 7th-tier, star domain sect. Even though you disappeared for these 10 years, with rumors of your death, I still maintain my respect for the Origin Reunion sect. You, returning now, should be a guest of honor in my Wuji sect. But you want to take down my sect's mountain gate. Do you really think you have the qualification to oppose my Wuji sect now? The Wuji sect master stared at Wang Lin, each word like thunder. Wang Lin remained silent, staring at the sect master of the Wuji sect. After a long pause, he slowly spoke. I owe Wuji sect a great favor, and I will repay it in the future. However, there is a reason for my actions. This item must be taken. I will definitely return here one day to offer my apologies. The ancient god aura within the mountains surged again, rushing into Wang Lin's body, causing his clothes to flutter. The aura exploded, and a 4th star point condensed on his forehead. Favor? What do you LV think you are? What qualification do you have to owe my Wuji sect a favor? Do you think you're the Grand Elder of the Divine Sect? The black-robed elder, resisting the backlash of his own divine art, became slightly pale. Hearing this, he sneered and mocked, stepping toward Wang Lin. With a hand gesture, an overwhelming divine art manifested, and purple thunder exploded from his body. The Wuji sect master's expression grew colder. He had not maintained his loyalty to the Origin Reunion sect, as he claimed. After learning that Wang Lin had been missing and presumed dead, he had kept the Origin Reunion sect alive only to serve the needs of the Divine Sect. He wouldn't go against the Divine Sect over a single person or a branch sect. He had no intention of protecting such a worthless sect. At this moment, he too stepped forward, pointing to the sky. A 7-foot-long sword suddenly appeared in his hand, shaped like a dragon, with a dragon's roar that shook the heavens. The speed of both of them was unimaginable, reaching Wang Lin in an instant. As their divine arts and the dragon's sword approached, Wang Lin's right index finger suddenly pointed forward. Instantly, 2 auras, one white and one black, manifested from his finger, turning into 2 little fawns. At the same time, millions of sword chi erupted in an instant. Millions of sword chi covered the sky, dazzling in its brilliance. These millions of sword chi were so powerful that even Water Pathmaster would be injured. Their might was unparalleled. Once again, they appeared in Wang Lin's hands, transforming into a sword storm that roared forward. The deafening sound reverberated throughout the entire cultivation star, and even the mist beyond the starry sky recoiled, seemingly afraid to approach. The black-robed elder was hit head-on by the millions of sword chi, his thunder collapsing, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He immediately retreated, his face showing unprecedented shock. The Wuji sect master's expression also drastically changed. With a swing of his dragon sword, an endless curtain of swords appeared before him. The sound of explosions rang out as he struggled to block the sword chi, but despite his best efforts, he was forced back by the relentless force, unable to get any closer. This LV was already strong back then, but after 10 years, he has become even stronger. I do not wish to be enemies with the Wuji sect. I only intend to borrow something from this mountain peak for a short while, and I will definitely return it in the future. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by countless sword chi, his voice sincere. Why should the Wuji sect lend you anything? Why should we trust you? The sect master of Wuji sect retreated, avoiding the sword chi, and spoke with a dark tone. Because the divine sect's water path master tried to kill me, but failed and ended up gravely injured and retreating into seclusion. Because I have sworn a blood oath here. Wang Lin bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood, which transformed into a blood-red rune, containing a trace of Wang Lin's very soul. The blood-red rune flickered as sword chi storms flew out, hovering in front of the sect master of Wuji sect. Wang Lin's words were like a thunderclap, shaking the hearts of the Wuji sect master and the black-clad elder beside him. The divine sect's water path master failed to kill you? The Wuji sect master sucked in a sharp breath, disbelief in his eyes. Words are not enough to convince anyone. No one in the world will believe this. And as for your blood oath, to me, it's completely useless. The black-clad elder retreated twice before Wang Lin, something he had never done before with his cultivation and status. He couldn't help but sneer, his eyes flashing as his right hand suddenly reached out and grasped the blood oath formed from Wang Lin's blood, crushing it with force. With a violent explosion, the blood-red rune shattered. Wang Lin's face immediately turned pale, but a cold light slowly began to flicker in his eyes. He had already shown the utmost sincerity. This ancient god treasure never belonged to the Wuji sect. He had been honest, and even left a blood oath, but none of it mattered. The cultivation world speaks through strength. The strong are respected. Wang Lin's gaze flickered. At that moment, the 4 powerful auras from afar suddenly arrived with a bang. These 4 auras belonged to the 4 grand elders of the Wuji sect, each with profound cultivation. As they approached, they said nothing to Wang Lin, instead quickly performing their divine arts, charging straight at Wang Lin, who stood atop the mountain peak.